Have you ever gazed into the endless expanse of the sky and wondered what it would be like if sharks and other sea creatures claimed it as their new habitat? This thought-provoking question forms the basis of our exploration today, as we dive into the intriguing sky-ocean hypothesis. In this hypothesis, we imagine a world where the line between the azure skies and the deep blue seas becomes blurred. A world where sea creatures, in all their majestic diversity, have evolved to inhabit not just the ocean depths, but also the vast skies above us. Now you might be wondering, what could possibly lead to such a drastic shift in the natural order? Well, the answer lies in the realm of speculative evolution, a field of study that explores how species might evolve under different environmental conditions. The premise here is that, due to some hypothetical changes in our planet's environment, sea creatures are propelled to adapt and thrive in an aerial environment, creating a sky ocean. The sky ocean wouldn't just be home to sharks, mind you. Imagine a sky filled with a myriad of sea creatures, dolphins gracefully arching through the clouds, their familiar leaps taking on a whole new dimension. Schools of flying fish, true to their name, darting through the sky in synchronized harmony. Giant squid, their tentacles transformed into wings, drifting through the air like ethereal blimps. And yes, even the humble jellyfish, pulsating with bioluminescent light, casting a gentle glow on the world below. But how would these sea creatures adapt to such a drastically different environment? What kind of evolutionary changes would they undergo? And what impact would this have on the existing aerial ecosystem? These are some of the fascinating questions we'll be exploring in our journey through the sky-ocean hypothesis. So brace yourself for an exciting exploration of a world unseen, a world that exists only in the realm of imagination, for now. Imagine a sky teeming with a variety of sea creatures, as diverse and vibrant as the oceans themselves. The first question that comes to mind is, could marine life adapt to life in the sky? Well, let's imagine the possibilities. The vast expanse of the sky would introduce a whole new set of challenges. To survive, our marine friends would need to develop some radical adaptations. For instance, to stay afloat in the air, sea creatures might evolve lighter bodies, perhaps even developing the ability to fly. Sharks could sprout wings or other flight mechanisms, turning into the eagles of this new sky ocean. They could evolve a whole range of flight styles, from the agile swoops of the manta ray to the gentle glide of the whale shark. Predatory behaviors would also have to change. In the ocean, predators rely on stealth, speed, and strength to catch their prey. But in the sky, stealth might involve blending in with the clouds or the sun. Speed would require streamlined bodies for efficient flight, and strength, that might translate to powerful wings or propulsion systems. Communication would undergo a revolution as well. Underwater, sound travels 4 times faster and over much greater distances than in air. So, marine animals that rely on sound for communication, like dolphins and whales, might have to find new ways to keep in touch. Maybe they'd develop visual signals or even sophisticated light displays, turning the sky into a canvas for their conversations. Reproduction, too, would need to adapt. Many marine creatures rely on water currents to disperse their eggs and young. In a sky ocean, they might evolve to use wind currents instead, sending their offspring adrift on the breeze. And let's not forget about the smaller creatures. Plankton, the base of the marine food chain, could evolve to become airborne, drifting on the wind like dandelion seeds, providing a floating feast for our sky-dwelling sea creatures. In this alternate universe, evolution would certainly have some fascinating tricks up its sleeve. But what would this mean for the rest of the world's ecosystems? Imagine for a moment the world's ecosystems as a complex, interconnected web. Each strand represents a different species, and each connection point is an interaction, a relationship, a dependency. Now, what would happen if we were to pluck one of those strands and relocate it to a completely different part of the web? The impact would ripple through the entire ecosystem, and that's exactly what we're considering here. In the ocean, the sudden departure of sharks and other sea creatures would create a vacuum. Some species might flourish without their traditional predators, leading to overpopulation and subsequent depletion of their food sources. This ripple effect could lead to a significant imbalance, potentially destabilizing the marine ecosystem. Meanwhile, in the skies, the introduction of these new aquatic arrivals would disrupt existing species. Birds, for instance, would now have to share their domain with these sea-turned sky creatures. Competition for food and nesting areas would intensify, and new predator-prey relationships would form. Consider the humble pigeon, for example. Today, its predators are primarily land-based. But what if suddenly it also had to evade a flying shark? How would it adapt to this new threat? Would it evolve to fly faster or develop new forms of camouflage? This could lead to an accelerated pace of evolution, as species are forced to adapt quickly to survive in this radically altered environment. And then there's the question of the food chain. The introduction of sharks and other sea creatures to the sky would necessitate the development of an entirely new food chain. Would the sharks feed on birds, or would they find some other source of sustenance? Perhaps certain types of plants or insects would become their primary food source, leading to further shifts and adaptations in the ecosystem. With the sky no longer the exclusive domain of birds, the balance of nature would shift in unpredictable ways. Now let's consider the most adaptable species of all, humans. In a world where the sky is teeming with marine life, humanity's versatility would be put to the test. Imagine looking up to see a school of mackerel darting through the clouds or a majestic whale breaching the sunset. Certainly, it would be a spectacle to behold, but it would also entail an entirely new set of challenges and opportunities for us. Transportation would be one of the first aspects to undergo a drastic transformation. Planes would have to navigate around giant sea creatures, and new air traffic control measures would have to be implemented. It might sound daunting, but consider this. We've already managed to share our roads with millions of vehicles without chaos ensuing. Why would the sky be any different? Food sources would also see a shift. With an abundance of marine life in the sky, seafood might literally fall into our laps. We'd have to develop new methods of fishing, perhaps even inventing airborne fishing vessels designed to catch and store sea creatures. Traditional fishing industries might evolve into sky fishing industries, and our diet might become more seafood-centric. Culturally, the presence of sea creatures in the sky would revolutionize our arts and sciences. New fields of study would emerge to understand and interact with the sky ocean. Our literature, cinema, music, and visual arts would be enriched with this new celestial marine aesthetic. Imagine the poetry, the songs, the movies inspired by this sky ocean. But perhaps the most profound change would be in our perception of the world. With the sky filled with sea creatures, we'd be reminded of our planet's interconnectedness. The lines between the terrestrial, the aquatic, and the aerial would blur, prompting us to rethink our relationship with nature. In this sky-ocean world, humans would find new ways to survive and thrive, as we always do. So, what would a world with sharks and other sea creatures in the sky truly look like? Let's take a moment to summarize what we've explored so far. The sky-ocean hypothesis, a concept as intriguing as it is fantastical, would fundamentally upend life as we know it. Sea creatures, with their adaptations for an aerial existence, would paint a dramatically different picture of our skies. Sharks gliding through clouds, dolphins spinning in the wind, and jellyfish floating in the sunset. What a sight that would be. But this change would not occur in isolation. The broader ecosystem would be affected too. Birds, bats, and insects would have to compete or coexist with these new sky dwellers. And us humans? Our world would be transformed, our cities, our transportation, our very way of life reshaped by this sky ocean. The sky ocean world, while a fascinating thought experiment, reminds us of the intricate balance of life on our planet and the importance of preserving our natural ecosystems.